Tom Zainea. Audiobooks. I Know Why the Waters of the Sea Taste of Salt by Steve Vernon.
Now, years later, I soar over the waters of Okinawa in a small Oka kamikaze plane. Nothing more than a pair of thin wooden wings, a trio of solid fuel rocket engines, and a cockpit strapped about the body of a 1,200-kilogram bomb. We call it Oka, cherry blossom, because it is said that a pilot who successfully crashes his plane into the belly of an American ship will fly up to heaven like the petals of a cherry blossom on a divine wind. The Americans call the plane Baka, or fool, and maybe they are right. I have seen the ashes flying in the wind. A light rain fell upon the waves. Wet kisses from the sky showered down. In the distance I saw puffs of smoke, the guns of the American invasion fleet pushing like gray metal waves towards the Okinawa shoreline. The ocean waves were forever. They were always coming. Forward, forward, like the wind they must forever return. War was forever. It would never end. It was in men's nature to butcher themselves over imagined slights, to fight for a bit of dirt, a handful of water, a dream. When I dreamed, my memories tasted of amniotic salt and a mother's tears. I knew the Americans were out there. I saw their ships pushing towards Okinawa. Their planes raped the clouds and sliced the sky. Their soldiers crawled upon the beaches and overtook us. I was unafraid and ready to die here in my plane. I have always loved flying. I remembered one morning when I was only 9 years old, standing on the mountainside, flying my dragon kite. The mountain opened up and spoke to me. A great dark stony jaw opened in the shadows of the mountain. It spoke to me in words that sounded like waves smashing upon the rocks. I did not know what the mountain said to me, but I listened.
Going Home by John Isaac Jones.
With military precision, the entourage stopped in front of Archie's cell. There was the warden, 2 assistants, the chaplain, the executioner, and the prison physician. The warden faced Archie. "Archibald William Johnson?" he asked. "That's me," Archie replied. With businesslike certainty, the warden unfolded an official-looking document. Then he put on his glasses and began reading. "The state of Georgia has decreed that you be executed in the electric chair at Valdosta State Prison at midnight on April 23, 1961, which is today. The hour is now approximately 11:35 p.m. Some preparation time will be needed to carry out the court's order. You must come with us so we may carry out the wishes of the state." Seconds later, the 2 assistants entered the cell, placed handcuffs on Archie's wrists, and escorted him out. Then the 7 men, with Archie in front, started walking out of the death row cell block. "Goodbye, Archie," said Charlie Fancher, another death row inmate whose cell was directly across from Archie's. Archie nodded at his old friend. "May God have mercy on you," said Moses Washington, an older black man, who had been Archie's best friend during his years on death row. "Bye, Moses," Archie said. "In about 15 minutes you going to be in hell," said Ray Hollingsworth, whom Archie had once fought over a piece of cornbread in the prison mess hall.
The Borrowed Souls by Paul B. Kohler. Dumbfounded, I stared at the man. He was a stranger to me, but there was something about him that seemed familiar. "I'm sorry, have we met?" He seemed to know me by name and know where I was tonight. "We've not been formally introduced, but rest assured, I'm not here to harm you." "What do you remember from last night?" he asked. "I tell you, not much. I woke up on the bus, and all I can remember is leaving a cafe sometime after work." "The rest of my day is a blur," I replied, rubbing my temples to soothe an ever-present headache. "I sometimes find that starting at the beginning of the day is best. Shall we have a seat and begin?" asked the man as he led me across a dimly lit street to a park bench that I hadn't noticed before stepping into the alley. As unusual as the situation was, it seemed like the right thing to do at the time, so I didn't protest. "Now then, Mr. Duffy, what was the first thing this morning that you can recall?" asked the man. "Wait up. Seeing as you know me, maybe you should at least tell me who you are," I stated, hoping to glean as much information about the stranger as I could. "Come now, Mr. Duffy. You know who I am." "Sorry, but I really don't. You seem familiar, but I don't remember ever meeting you." "Oh, that is quite correct. We've not been formally introduced." "Then what do I call you?" "Whatever you wish," he said, smiling. "I don't understand. Haven't you got a name?" "I do, but it doesn't matter what you call me." We sat on the park bench for several moments in silence. All the while I was racking my brain as to why the last 20-plus hours were missing from my memory. "As I mentioned, it might help starting from the moment you woke this morning, or yesterday morning, rather." The stranger held his closed hand toward me, and when he opened it, there was a large gold coin in his open palm. "Take this coin, Mr. Duffy. Take it, and turn it over in your hands. Examine the two faces of the coin, and try to focus on the moment you woke." I took the coin and did as he asked. The coin was quite old, the surfaces worn, nearly smooth. I could just barely make out the words, "In God We Trust," but nothing more. I turned the coin over, and as I did, my morning came flooding back to me. For Love of Daniel by John Isaac Jones. The following morning, Jack was awakened by the roar of high winds and huge sheets of rain pelting the walls and windows of the small clapboard structure. He sat up in bed, threw his feet over the side, and went to the window. To the north, he could see intermittent flashes of lightning, followed by bursts of thunder, which rattled the window panes. "It's going to be a miserable ride to work today," he thought. Quickly, he dressed, went to the kitchen, and took the water bucket to go to the well. When he opened the front door, he stopped. Huge rivulets of rain were dripping from the roof amid a steady downpour. For a long moment, he waited in the doorway for the rain to slacken. Then suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a clump of clothing and a suitcase on the porch. Instantly, he was taken aback. He moved closer. Now he could make out the figure of a young woman wearing a flowery head rag and dressed in a heavy men's overcoat. She was asleep. Her back was turned to him. For a long moment he peered at her without making a move. Then, water bucket in hand, he cautiously moved closer. "Hello?" Jack said. "Hello! Hello!" The clump of clothes didn't move. "Hello!" Jack said again, louder this time. The clump of clothes moved slightly, and the woman, still half asleep, turned her face to Jack and opened her eyes. Jack wasn't wearing his eye patch. "Oh," she said, upon seeing Jack. "Why are you sleeping on my porch?" The woman sat up and rubbed her eyes. When she sat upright, Jack could see her belly was swollen with child. "I'm sorry," she said. "I don't have anywhere to go.
My husband and I got into an argument and he pushed me out of the car. This was the nearest house I could find in the rain. I'm sorry. I don't want to be any trouble."
Jack peered at her.
"Your husband left you out in the rain? And you're carrying his child?"
She nodded.
"I don't want to be a problem. I'll just leave."
She slowly started to stand up, but with her heavy belly, Jack could see it was a chore.
No, you don't have to leave. Maybe I can help you. Where's your family?"
She looked at him as if he had said a dirty word.
"Family? What family? You don't have any family?" "No." "And your husband? Where's he now?" "God only knows." "You don't have anywhere to go? You don't have anyone to help you?"
The woman shook her head. Jack studied the woman for a moment. Suddenly, the wind shifted and rain began to blow on the porch.
"Well, you can't stay out here. Let's go inside. Let me see if I can help you."
He reached down and offered his hand. She hesitated.
"What happened to your eye?" "I was born that way."
She grimaced slightly, then took Jack's hand and he pulled her to her feet. Uncertainly, she stood upright and Jack put his arm under hers for support.
"Come on,"
he said, taking her suitcase.
"Let's go inside."